The 674th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL season with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Yo, Degenerinos. Welcome to episode 674 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Cody Steele, who I guess was the best fighter from last week's Contender Series. Wasn't the greatest week of Contender Series, but he definitely looked good. Gumby went 5-0, so I guess it was a good week. Thanks for coming to the show. This is the last week of Contender Series for this season. Hopefully Gumby can go 5-0 once again. I am not Gumby. I am Taco Fox. Thanks for coming to the show. Gumby is the one who knows about Contender Series, or knows how to pick the winners at the very least. I have all the backgrounds on all these fighters, put it together, super team, overlooked no more. So thanks for coming to the show, and we're going to jump right into things. Episode 674, let's bring in the man of the hour himself, Daniel Gumby Vreeland. Thoughts on the very last week of Contender Series?
Weird, because we got a whole bunch of replacement fights,
Yep.
so that's fun. I will also say, I'm going to give a shout out on that last Contender Series fight card, the Week 9 one. While I do think Cody Steele had the best performance, I do think maybe the best prospect is the one who didn't get the contract, and Sean Gauchi.
Yeah.
I don't think he deserved to get a contract fighting the way he did. The broken hand piece maybe, but like he didn't pull the trigger early, which was the weirdest part. He could have just stood in front of Anthony Drillich and just taken the little pitter patter he was throwing and just crack him back. And then, he could have gotten his wrestling going earlier too and didn't. So like he made a lot of mistakes, but deep down, I kind of feel like he's the best prospect of all of them. So, shout out to him as well. And weird fight card here. Lots of replacements. People coming back for the second go round, always a weird time. And then people coming back for a second go round against a replacement, even weirder.
Yeah. Anyone you're excited about on this week's show or not?
There's one I've been touting for a really long time. So if you've been paying attention to some of our regional episodes, there's a guy whose name keeps coming up. And actually, I had pitched him as somebody who I wanted to see on this season. At first, it didn't look like he was going to get in, and you will hear me talk about him shortly.
All right. Before that, remind you, we are running a fundraiser. Hurricane Helene has been devastating to the people of Western North Carolina. SGPN is teaming up with the local charity, mountainprojects.org, to help give back. The biggest donation will get a guest spot on the CFB Picks show and a ton of gear. Go to mountainprojects.org and hit flood support. Help out today. Thank you in advance. Also, thank you, as always, for tuning into our show. If you can head over to Spotify, if you're not there already, and give us a 5-star rating, that would help us out greatly. And it would help us and you prevent corporate gambling from taking over. Thank you in advance for that as well. All right. Week 10, Dana White's Contender Series, October the 15th on Tuesday, 8 p.m. as per usual. 5 fights as per usual. UFC Apex as per usual. Kick things off with last week. They broke the streak of the first fight being the most exciting
banger.
Yeah. That fight was not good. I'm like, whoa, whoever wins this is not getting a contract. All right, we got a Canadian, so that's a good start. Mohamed Ado. Is it Ado? Ado? Much ado?
I think it's Ado, but I could be wrong.
Mohamed Ado. From Canada, Jonathan Micallef from Australia. They're going heavy on the Australian fighters as of late. But I guess, like I said, episodes ago, they signed a contract with the city of Perth to go there multiple times a year. So that might be why they're trying to load up on the Australians. So this is a welterweight fight, 3 5-minute rounds. And we tell you, we don't have odds yet because we are faster than the bookies at breaking down these fights. So Gumby will guess for you. Micallef is Jono, Jono. 6-1, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, knocked out once. Got submitted, won via submission his last fight, regional champion, an inch of height over Ado. Ado is 5-0, 1 knockout, 4 submissions, 4 straight wins have come via submission, a year younger than Micallef. So a couple guys, small resumes here.
Yeah, I think the line is probably going to come in here in favor of Ado. I'm going to say like negative 230, 235. You'll probably get like plus 210 on Micallef. And I'm going to take a stab on a dog out the gate. We went all chalk last week. Jonathan Micallef is a guy who he's he's like surprisingly one-dimensional. His striking isn't really great, but his takedowns are really diverse in the way that he hits them. I like the way he ducks under and he gets the back. I like his body locks. I like his single. I like his double. Like he's a guy who can get a takedown as much in the center of the cage as he can up against the edge. And if you watch a dude, there's two things about him that make me think that Micallef can dominate that grappling and sort of win a grind fest here. The first one is if you look at a lot of those submissions wins that he has, first of all, a lot of them against very low level competition, like 11-11 guys, 5-5 guys, people like that. And a lot of them, if you watch them, he gets in the clinch and he kind of muscles the position despite not having the grips he should have or the underhooks he has. Like one of the takedowns I watched him hit, he had over unders and he just kind of like pulled the guy to the ground. And more than once, he like kind of has had to scramble to come into the right position. And while, it's worked for him in the past and that's fine, and he winds up hitting all these takedowns, I don't know that he'll be able to do that against a guy who's a good grappler. The other reason I like Micallef in this fight is because if you watch him back up in his striking, like if somebody comes after him with strikes, whether they're good or not, he backs up in a straight line a lot, and then he like sort of plants his feet and just hangs out there again. And for me, especially up against the guy who's a wrestler, if Micallef comes with a little 2-punch combo and a dude just like resets himself, he's just going to shoot at the end of that combination. He's going to throw that overhand right at the end, and he's going to duck it into a double leg, and he's going to score the takedown. So while a dude seems to be faster and definitely stronger and all that kind of stuff, I don't trust the technique behind it all to beat a guy who I think is pretty good technically in terms of his grappling. So give me Micallef here. I'm guessing we're going to get him a little bit better than 2-1.
Of course you're going against the Canadian. Of course you are, Gumby.
Sorry.
Yep. You claim like, no, I think I'm going to go with the dog here, but we know what you're doing. All right. I know what you're doing. All right, let's move on. This is a all-time nickname matchup in this fight. Women's strawweight, Leslie Hernandez, United States of America. Julieta Martinez from Argentina. We have got Martinez, the Ninja Ferret, versus Dora, the Destroyer. Fantastic nicknames. There's more to like about Martinez as well. Let's break it down. 7-0, 4 knockouts, 2 submissions, 5 straight wins via finish. The best part, other than her nickname, she's a 2-time Samurai Fight House champion. Amazing. Used to fight down at atom weight, 14 years younger than Dora the Destroyer. Dora the Destroyer, 4-1 with 2 knockouts, never been finished in a fight. She won 4 straight after losing her pro debut in May of 2022. 2 inches height, 3 inches reach over Martinez. Gumby. Amazing nicknames.
I'm going to take Julieta Martinez. I'm going to guess she's going to come in as a big favorite here. Probably like -250. Big reason for me why she'll come in as a favorite. You see the 7-0 versus the, less fights and a loss in there. And if I'm going to be honest, I really think Leslie Hernandez, despite the fact that I like her, deserves a second loss in there. I think she lost that fight with Christina Brader. Brader kind of got, it was one of those fights where you could see the fighter clearly has more control, more sort of a Jose Aldo versus Mario Batista. Mm-hmm. Except for I think Brader was kind of getting underrated with how many strikes she was hitting in the clinch and how long she was holding Leslie Hernandez there. And the judges went with Hernandez for landed a little bit better from range. So, Hernandez really easily could be 4-2 here, and we would not be talking about a shot on Contender Series. I think the problem for me here in this fight is that Brader fight sets a precedent here for Julieta Martinez. Martinez is exceptionally physical in the clinch. She's really tough both in throwing knees to the body and the head, but also in just like pinning somebody down and turning it into a gritty kind of fight. Hernandez, really good boxer. She comes from a Taekwondo background. She's been boxing since she was like 6. But I don't think that she's going to have the range all the time. I think Martinez is going to crowd her. I think she's going to get in her space. I think she's going to turn it into a much less, exciting fight for Leslie Hernandez. And, in the last fight, I said I don't really like the person who's been muscling takedowns and maybe doesn't have the technique. I think Julieta Martinez struggles in that realm too. But I think that the difference in how much power she has in the clinch and what she's been able to do in the clinch here is enough of a difference maker. So I'm going to take Julieta Martinez.
The main difference is there's no Canadian in this fight for Gumby to fade. So that's why he's like going against what he just did in the last fight.
The Samurai Fight House of it all too.
That's true. Yeah. We thought about that piece, that whole piece. Yeah. Atomweight and strawweight champion, dude. 2 times.
I think she was their Annie champ too, back when she was an
Really?
Annie. I think she was only, I want to say she was only like 17 or 18 when she won their
Yeah.
Annie title.
She's young, right? She's like 20 or something now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Santa Claus is behind her in her Tapology picture. So
That's
Santa Claus,
great.
the ring announcer. So looks like she's wearing a Santa hat. So looks like someone did a really bad graphic job there. All right. Before we move on, I got to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports. For all of sports. I put the of there again. For all sports. NFL, NASCAR, college football, MLB, MMA, that's us, WNBA. They got it all and more. The lobby is jam-packed with profit boosts. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Gumby's going to give you a play right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, so we got football coming up. I like Caleb Williams on the higher than on his passing yards. They're playing the Jaguars. Jaguars picked up their first win this past week, but it's going to be in London. I don't like their chances to look good again, and I do think Caleb Williams is going to exploit them.
All right, there you have it. So use that, and more importantly, use our promo code MMASGPN. You can claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN. And now on to a main card fight of course, they're all main card fights. Featherweight, Yadier DelValle. He's from
Cuba.
Yes, he's from Cuba. He is up against his nickname gives it away, actually, that he's from Cuba, but I'm not looking at nicknames. Antônio Monteiro from Brazil. 3 5-minute rounds if they need it. Junior Negao is the nickname for Monteiro. Negao. Any idea, Gumby? That means big something, does it not?
Yeah, but then there's a junior in front of it.
Yeah, Junior Big Neg is his name, right?
I'm gonna let you tackle that one.
Big Neg Junior. How's that?
I think you should be careful with your words.
I know. I didn't say anything wrong. NEG is not a bad word. Anyhow, he's 17-4-1 with 1 no contest, 3 knockouts, 5 submissions. He's been submitted once, 6-0 over his last 6, obviously 7-1 over his last 8. He's got multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Get sticky with it. 2013 Pro MMA debut. DelValle, the Cuban problem, 7-0, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions. Used to fight at lightweight, a year younger than Monteiro, 2 inches taller.
Yeah, DelValle is the one who I was a little bit excited about. I will say, I don't know how excited I am about this matchup. I do think I'm going to pick Yadier DelValle because I was, like I said, he was the guy I've been excited for. I've been clamoring he should be on here. I'm worried that his number will get out of control. I'm predicting it's high 100s, negative 185-ish. I do think this fight should be lined closer to like negative 145-ish, which makes me hesitate to pull the trigger on him if it comes in at a big number. And he's got a really nice record, in being undefeated. It could balloon out of control. We've seen that with a lot of Contender Series lines recently. So I am going to proceed with caution on the Yadier DelValle line, and mostly just because if you watch Monteiro, he is explosive and fast on his feet. My big reason I like DelValle here is, first of all, he's seen good boxers before. He has a win over Michael Aswell, who looked really good in his Contender Series fight. Despite losing. Yeah, friend of the show. He's in the comments sometimes. Shout out him if he's still listening. But like DelValle is one of the guys who beat him. And for me, if you watch that fight, DelValle mostly wins based on the fact that he can wrestle and he's got a good wrestling game. But when he stands and trades with Michael Aswell, he wasn't being blown out of the water. Like it was a good boxing match with the fact that DelValle just also had some really great grappling. And so I like that about him. But at the same time, obviously the quickness and the power of Monteiro is like a little bit of a worry. I think the difference maker for me and why I'm still comfortable in going with DelValle is he has that wrestling game and Monteiro tires. If you watch Monteiro's recent fights, like anytime he gets late into the first round or the second round and there's been any amount of clinch work and grappling, it seems like those strikes come a lot more labored. So while I think he will be very dangerous early on in this fight, I think DelValle just has to make it, like a little gritty for like 2 minutes. And then he can back away, and I think his striking will hold up. And of course, I do think he has the grappling advantage, but like even if he is not able to consistently get Monteiro to the mat, just forcing him to fight that kind of like ugly kind of fight for like a couple minutes should tire him enough to make the striking advantage in favor of him as well.
Where have you seen this DelValle character before, or how did you get on your radar?
He's a Fury FC guy. That's where he fought as well.
Right.
He fought as well in Fury FC.
Okay, cool. That makes sense then. All right, moving on to co-main event. They don't call it that. I am Nick Piccininni, right? Piccininni versus.
You should know this. We maybe talked about it recently.
Nick Piccininni versus Luis Gurule. 3 500 rounds, 125 pounds. Grim Gurule, 9-0, 5 knockouts, 1 submission. Taking this fight on short notice. Won his last fight via submission. Regional champion. Used to fight at bantamweight. Piccininni, 7-0 with 5 submissions. 1-0 in Contender Series. It was supposed to be a rematch, right?
Yeah, he was supposed to fight Jack Duffy again.
Yep. Used to fight at bantamweight. 3 years younger than Gurule. An inch of height, an inch of reach. Remind the people why Piccininni and Duffy were going to rerun it here.
For some reason, Dana White thought Piccininni lost to Jack Duffy. The judges gave it to him. I personally think Piccininni won the fight. He also took the fight on short notice. I was going to stand here and tell you to take Piccininni undoubtedly against Jack Duffy and hopefully get a good line on it. Yeah. Because if people listened to the Dana White of it all, Piccininni probably would have come in as an underdog. I think he's going to come in ever so slightly as a favorite here against it's Gurule, I think it is, or Gurule.
I'm saying it like Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is how I'm saying it.
Yeah, it's Gurule, I believe.
Grim Gurule.
And I think he's going to come in as a slight favorite against him. It's probably only going to be like -130 plus 110. And I can't believe I'm going to do this because I was going to pick Piccininni in the first place, but I'm going to take Gurule here. I think he's a bad matchup for Piccininni. And like, Piccininni had a little bit of trouble with like the scrambling and strength of Jack Duffy. And that's enough. And granted, it was on short notice, but that's enough for me to think he's going to have a lot more trouble with Gurule because he's really strong. And in addition to being really strong, I love the pace and pressure Gurule puts on somebody. And when you're up against a wrestler, that can be one of the greatest weapons that you have, making him move backwards and shoot his takedowns from an uncomfortable position. And like Gurule does not take a step back. He is a guy who keeps coming forward. He keeps getting in your face. And he's got like a lot of like unique kick angles that he gives people. And you don't always want a guy who's going to kick up against a wrestler, but like the types of kicks he throws are unique enough that I feel like he's not going to get caught. It's not like he's just throwing, a standard kick to the side of the body that gets caught underneath the arm and then run down. Like he's got a really good stabbing kick up the middle, like a little teep or, a little push kick up the middle to the chest. He throws a weird question mark kick that's like kind of dangerous. And then on top of that, I just think he's so much faster in terms of the striking. And we saw in that Piccininni versus Duffy fight, a lot of people think Duffy won that fight because he was winning the striking exchanges against Piccininni and Piccininni had to like sort of grind it out. I think he's going to have a tougher time grinding it out. And I actually think he's going to have a tougher time on the feet. So especially if we're going to get Gurule anywhere near even money or in the dog side of things, I think he's the play here. And I'm going to take him to beat Piccininni.
All right. Take that. All right. Before we get to the main event, BetUS, we're brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business, BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. U.S. players are always welcome. You can sign up and deposit $100, and you have a chance to win a 1960 Ford Mustang. Who doesn't need that? So check out all the MMA lines there and use our link to sign up and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. Promo code SGPN so they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. Get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard or a possibility model for me. It really gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And now to our main event of the evening. Let's call it up here. It is a middleweight fight, of course. Main event in the Apex middleweight. Nick Klein, United States. Heraldo Souza, Brazil. 3 5-minute rounds if they need it. Souza is a savage. Savage Souza, 9-1-1. 3 knockouts, 5 submissions. He's been knocked out once. He's won 3 straight and gone 5-0-1 over his last 6. He's not lost since November 2020. Was a regional champion. Used to fight at welterweight. Klein, blue collar Klein, 5-1, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out once. Taking this fight on short notice. He's won 2 straight, both via submission. He's not lost since July 2022. Used to fight at light heavyweight and heavyweight. 2 inches of height, a year younger than Souza the Savage. Go ahead.
Yeah, Klein is actually the 3rd fighter Souza was supposed to fight. He Alain Vandermerk was the first one. He couldn't get a visa. Then they were going to give Party Time Schultz a second kick of the can. He pulled out. I don't know the reason. And now we got Nick Klein here. And I'll just say this about Nick Klein. He's real green. It seems like he does a lot of things right. Like if you watch his takedown, it looks fine and technical. If you look at his combinations, they look fine. They're all right. But they just kind of like lack any kind of explosion or quickness. When I watch him shoot a takedown, I like wondered if my computer was lagging. I'm going to be honest. Like I thought it was moving slow. And he got a takedown on Colin Hookabody, which is that's a good one. He was on Contender Series once. So like, it's not like he can't score takedowns, but I just think, I don't think Souza's going to stand in front of him like that. I think Souza, he's got really fast hands. He's really explosive. He's maybe not the most technical. He does tend to wing shots. And to be honest, I thought he was going to fight Alain Vandermerk, I thought Vandermerk was the perfect guy to kind of like counter him and hit him with a shot and drop him. And, now we got a guy who I think is maybe too slow to counter him, and does he have the takedowns? Yeah, but like Souza's kind of got takedowns of his own. Like Souza's got a really nice single, especially like if he gets on a single, I've seen him finish plenty of those. His top game's really suffocating. I've never seen him have to like get out from underneath somebody, but based on like the jiu-jitsu stuff I've seen from him in Top Game, I think he shouldn't have a problem doing it. So I think Heraldo Souza, faster on the feet, more willing to let go. I don't think he's in danger of being countered. And then in the wrestling of it all, I think he's got the wrestling to get back up if he is taken down. So Heraldo Souza, my original guess was -300. It's a late replacement against the guy who's 5-1 and mostly in not necessarily the most prestigious promotions for Nick Klein. So this one could be one of the ones who gets out of hand at like -600-700. But I'll start at like the -350.
All right. You're all set for the last week of Contender Series. So we'll recap. He's got Souza. He's got Gurule. He has got DelValle. He has got Martinez, the Ninja Ferret. He's got Jono. And you're all set. You've got all your winning picks. Check us out in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Check us out on YouTube, of course. We're the MMA Gambling Podcast. Subscribe there. Check us out on Twitter, SGPN MMA. Gumby runs that. You can check him out at Gumby Vreeling. You can check me out at Jeff Fox Writer there and on Instagram. You can check out my Substack and enter my free UFC Pick'em contest for tomorrow. That would be moneymma.substack.com. You can check out Gumby's other podcast. It's called the Top Turtle MMA Podcast. He has the Pitbull, Daniel Pineda, and I can't remember the lady that you have on.
That's not his nickname at all.
No, he's not the Pitbull. No, he's the Pit.
Just the Pit. Daniel the Pit Pineda.
It's close. You act like I'm way off base.
And then you're mad that you forgot the other guest. It's Melissa Croden, noted Canadian LFA fighter.
Yes. There you go. Check that out. Wherever you get your finest podcasts. And of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Back on Monday. We got some big events next week, right? LFA, PFL. Probably it'll be Monday, Tuesday.
There's a great PFL card. We're actually getting the super fights. I believe that's next week. That's next week, right? That's super fights, the 19th or whatever that is. Very exciting fight card with Francis Ngannou coming back. So love seeing him in MMA.
Or is that a Sunday? Or we're doing that Sunday maybe? Because we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Because no more Contender Series, right? Maybe we can get you another because there's KSW next week as well. So maybe we'll get you 3 regional ones more than likely. So you just wait and see. You just check your feeds. In the meantime, the Ninja Ferret, Jeff Fox says adios. Dora the Destroyer, Gumby Vreeland says bye as well. And we will talk to you when we talk to you. Bye.